The thing that stood out to me the most was Catherine O'Hara was an absolute gem in this film.
She is a treasure. Let's all just take a moment to realize that we are alive. And Catherine O'Hara is still putting out phenomenal performances. Go watch the movie, then come listen or watch the Untitled Film Project Podcast. Today, it's Beetlejuice. Say the name 3 times, and 36 years after the original Beetlejuice, you get a Tim Burton sequel. It brings most of the original cast together to navigate that silly and macabre underworld filled with the newly dead, the long dead, and a cast of goofy ghouls.
My mom grew up here, that old house on the hill.
Wait, the ghost house? Is your mom Lydia Dietz?
Unfortunately.
She's a legend.
The living, the dead. Can they coexist?
Now's my chance.
Ghosts aren't real. Only gullible people believe that kind of crap.
And my co-host with the most, Jeremy Gover, has our big question.
Later in this episode, we're going to be visited with gold medal winning weightlifter Olivia Reeves. She won gold in Paris. She's going to kindly join us later in this episode for the big question. Do not miss it.
For me, I was obviously excited about it, but on guard a little bit, because when a sequel is happening this far after the originals come out, lots have changed in the comedy world, in the movie-making world. The actors have grown up and changed as well, too. There's so many things that could potentially go wrong with a sequel like this, right?
Yep.
I mean, we've talked about it with Axel Foley and Axel F. and Beverly Hills Cop scenario, and granted, that was direct to streaming, so it gives you a little bit of stress off and pressure off there.
Sure. Bad Boys.
There's been so many sequels that have happened where there's length of time, a strong length of time. Now, I'm getting to all this just to say that, Winona Ryder, when filming Stranger Things, even said, I need a clause in my contract that if the second Beetlejuice happens, I get to leave production for Stranger Things and go to that. So it shows that there was always this want from the actors, the people involved in the movie, to want to do it, which is key to me, that it's not necessarily just a money grab. It's that they enjoyed those characters so much. They enjoyed being in that realm that they want to make a good, fun movie. And that's all that I really wanted. Overall, it's fun. It's fine. It's serviceable. I don't mean
serviceable.
I don't mean to say that as something that's overtly negative. I mean that it just did its job in the moment. Okay. And that's fine for me. I just wanted to laugh a little bit, which I did. And even in a critics only screening with some guests, there were plenty of laughs and moments that happened during this movie. It felt a little messy at times. It felt a little rushed. I mean, it was only, an hour 38-ish?
Hour 44.
Including credits.
Right.
Yeah. So I looked at my watch and going, well, that's why it felt rushed to me, because I felt like they just jumped in a few things. It was fairly predictable. That's fine. Like, predictability, I don't need to be, spun around in different ways for this. But the thing that stood out to me the most was Catherine O'Hara was an absolute gem in this film.
She is a treasure. Let's all just take a moment to realize that we are alive. And Catherine O'Hara is still putting out phenomenal performances.
She's 70, by the way.
She's incredible.
She had. You would think Beetlejuice, the character Beetlejuice, would have the best lines, right? It's his movie. Movies for him. No. Catherine O'Hara's character had the absolute best lines written for her, the best delivery, the most laughs for her lines. She delivered her character so extremely well. If anything sticks with me from Beetlejuice, it is 100% Catherine O'Hara. Nothing else sticks with me near as much as her performance.
Wow. All right. Well, I'll combat that by saying that I think her lines were the most consistently funny.
Yes.
And and sharp and witty and all those things. I wouldn't necessarily call her the best lines. When Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is sitting at the train station, he's stamping the passport or whatever. That's probably the best line of the whole movie.
That is definitely the best line. I will give you that.
But consistently for sure.
Yes.
She keeps hitting doubles and triples.
Yeah,
she's not a home run hitter. She's not a slugger, but she's got. just everything comes out of her mouth is so funny.
Yeah,
and it sets
perfectly delivered.
Oh yeah, or it sets up the next line or the next situation, whatever.
For sure.
Yeah, I thought I'm going to disagree with you in the sense that I thought it was better than serviceable. I think when you get a dated sequel like this, and again, we're calling them dated sequels because of Bradford, what he said, there's decades in between, right?
Yep.
It's not like, okay, well, 10 years ago they made Twilight, so they're going to make it. No. Well, we're talking about like decades in between.
A generation.
Yeah. So that's what I'm calling a dated sequel. So when you get a dated sequel like Beetlejuice, you really just want it to kind of come close to the original. Yeah. I went back and watched the original for the first time since it was in the theater in 1988, by the way, probably 2 weeks ago to prep for this one.
How old were you then?
11. Kind of different. So, and I wasn't thrilled with it. It was fun. And it was like, okay, this is very much an 80s movie, and you can see Tim Burton all over it, and it's but really it's like that part could have been taken out. It's more of an hour-long TV show that's been made into a movie. It's just
interesting.
And so this one, Beetlejuice outperformed the classic original intonation for me. I thought it was funnier. I thought it was more. It was the effects, obviously, the technology allow it to be right better in that regard. The only problem that I really had with it, is that it felt disjointed.
Yeah, that's why I said messy.
Right. So we're watching the Dietz family in the house, and then all of a sudden we're swept to Beetlejuice's ex-wife, who we were just introduced to, and now her character is looking for him, but he's trying to avoid her. And now for 40 minutes, we're going to go. It's not really 40; it's like 30. We go back to reality, and Jenna Ortega is meeting this cute boy down the street, and then it turns out it was like, what are we following here? There was no kind of synergy until the end.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll concur on that because I definitely thought, wow, there's a lot of storylines here that we're
for a short movie
we're trying to follow, and how are they going to wrap this up? I will wait till we get into the deeper takes on this to get into how they did wrap it up, which was kind of funny in a meta kind of way. But I was last week years old when I saw Beetlejuice, the original film. I missed it. I never saw it.
Wait. For the first time?
First time ever.
Whoa.
It came out at a time when my wife and I, we were out doing fun stuff.
When life was happening.
We were not boring people. We actually had a good time and would go out, and for some reason we just didn't go to the movies.
When you have to say we were not boring people,
means we're boring now. I'm owning it. Okay. But so I just never saw it. I'd seen scenes, online or whatever. But I said, I've got to watch it before this sequel comes out, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's a sweeter movie, I think, than the sequel, right? There's a lot of kindness. It focuses a lot on, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, and they're just a really nice couple and faced with this thing. But Beetlejuice is a more intense, more fun, more of a thrill ride. I enjoyed it. I laughed a lot harder than I did with the original. But I also think it was kind of a mess of storylines that were intertwining. It's
forcibly.
Yes. If you've ever had a bunch of, wires and cables that get all twisted up and you're wondering how am I going to get these things apart? That's kind of how I felt with this movie, but it did it with one of the best crazy finales I've seen in a movie in a while. So I really had a good time. And while it has its faults, I gotta say, it was fun.
It was.
All right, let's go a little deeper into Beetlejuice.
Monica Bellucci is the ex-wife of Beetlejuice, obviously, and she's in this. The beginning, they set her up as this menacing character that's going to come and actually kill people that are already killed, which is really interesting. And it's this must be serious. And they wasted it.
It was unnecessary.
It was completely. It was almost okay, hey, to get them to kind of stir the pot, we need this thing. Right. So let's introduce this thing. But they built this thing as if it was the antagonist of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end, it was oh, that's it? Okay.
I think you can say that with a lot of the characters that were introduced in this movie. I think she's just a prime example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my thing to kind of build off of this, was it supposed to be that predictable immediately that the new boyfriend was a ghost?
I didn't know it.
I don't think so.
They fooled me.
Okay, let me say, they fooled me as well, Jim. But I was sitting next to Bradford, who when he passed him in the cat, and he goes, "Dad, I'm going upstairs," and they don't show him. Bradford goes, "Mm-hmm."
Why wouldn't they turn around or talk?
And then he goes, "Mom, heading upstairs," and I hear Bradford go, "Mm-hmm."
Okay, well,
And I thought, wait, hold on.
That's great.
And this is what but this is what I thought. First of all, he tipped me off to that. But here's what I thought he was doing. I thought he was suggesting that was Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin.
Oh, God, no.
Oh,
And they're going to save their reveals until the end. That's what I thought.
It was going to be a
I
surprise.
just knew they were all ghosts. Now, I didn't know it was a murder-suicide.
Okay.
Man, not even murder,
That would be
accidental
bonkers
suicide.
if you knew that.
Murder, accidental suicide.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that, but as soon as the dad didn't turn around, like I had this inkling of feeling when he just popped out of the treehouse. I'm like, that's awkward for a teenage boy to be up there reading.
You correctly guessed this. Here's where my mind was at.
Okay.
Because I think both movies are resting on the bed of the premise that all the parents in these movies are terrible parents. And that they have no awareness of their kids and don't really care. And I just thought it was another one of those. I mean, you can go right back to, the original and say like, yeah, they're not paying attention to their teen.
Okay, it makes me feel better than that you didn't immediately pick up on that. So that means it wasn't intentional, that I just read it.
No, you ruined it for me. That's what I'm saying.
I
didn't know what you were ruining.
You destroyed
you
destroyed the night.
But then all of a
Nice.
sudden, like it became that little plot where is he the antagonist, and then you have the ex-wife. So you have two antagonists here for two separate people or characters in this. That's where the messiness and the disjointness came, because you could have just dealt with him. Like he could have been the antagonist in the movie, and you would have been fine, because Lydia still would have to go to Beetlejuice to try to save her daughter.
That's right.
Without that whole mess of the ex-wife soul sucking, like that's where the messiness really hit. But it leads all to what was the best line in the film,
which was doing away with Jeremy, her boyfriend, at the train station.
Every PG-13 movie gets one F-bomb.
Yes.
Yep.
And granted, they got two in here with a bleep.
Yes.
Which was awesome.
Which was awesome.
That was really great.
But I appreciate when a PG-13 can put in an F-bomb that is one of those ones where it's not dropped like it's a needle drop moment. It is a moment that's just in conversation. We're like, oh, that was great.
Feels natural for the character.
Kind of like in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It was an unexpected place for Peter Quill to pop it in a nebula when they're trying to open the door to a car, right? This was a perfect delivery of an F-bomb in a movie like this, because it's not one that somebody's yelling at each other. It's Beetlejuice delivering a hilarious line, and boom, he drops and he's gone. All of a sudden, the evil is gone. So then what next? That's where the disjointness really came in.
Well, that seemed to be the theme of the movie, because, I'm wondering, like, what are they doing with this person's storyline and this person they've introduced? And there's all these things. They literally just, for most of them, drop them out of a hatch in the floor. That was the perfect metaphor for all of them. They just take care of them like that. Shit out of luck. With stamp on his train ticket or passport or whatever that was, and he drops through the floor. We don't have to worry about him anymore, which I think that's at the point where I go, okay, stop worrying, stop braining this movie and just ride with it and just let it go. Let it happen.
Ride the Soul Train?
Yeah, ride the Soul Train, which was very funny. I don't think they needed to return to it twice.
Probably not, no.
Right.
But I loved the concept.
We got some Don Cornelius shout out in there.
Yeah,
It was
really
great.
funny.
Really good stuff.
Yeah. Soundtrack was good too. I enjoyed the movie. I loved the boys' choir singing Deo at the funeral. It just felt great.
Did we ever expect MacArthur Park
No.
to be in a movie like this? And the full version.
Which was unnecessary, I think.
Oh, no.
They could have taken the first verse and then a chorus, and then they could have just wiped out all of this.
I don't know. I think greater
because
impact.
the joke had already landed by then.
No, to me, it was one of those rules of comedy where
Commit to the
it's
bit.
like, okay, it's funny. This is tiresome. oh, now it's really funny. And
Okay.
I thought it was gone. Oh,
Yeah.
it's back.
Okay.
It's funnier.
I agree with Jim, especially when the target audience is overall Gen X.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Of course.
Who will
Yeah.
understand the song and have that connection to the song even more so, where younger people are going to be like, what the heck am I listening to? But
Sure.
it's still funny because their commitment to the bit.
Oh, I know.
So,
And as a person who was a kid when this song recorded by an actor, which is the weirdest song ever, you're like, how in the world did this become like a sensation at that time, which
Right.
was before my time still, but why? This is so weird. And the fact that it then comes back in Beetlejuice Squared, I'm going to call it. It was perfect. It was just the right amount of silly and outrageous that I think we got when Harry Belafonte's Deo came at us in the first movie.
especially with a little bit of the body control with
Yes.
Jenna Ortega and Catherine O'Hara, just a little bit of touches of nostalgia there, which is totally fine because they didn't overly repeat it.
And you didn't have to do it.
Right.
Meaning,
Right.
like, if my son's watching this, who's not seen the first one, it doesn't matter
Right.
that he doesn't know that there's this weird scene with Deo. They work
Right.
both in, not only the Deo, but also the body movement.
And because the kookiness
Yeah.
of the movie overall, it still fits even if you don't
Yes.
know the first one.
Yep.
We have our big question coming up with gold medal winning Olympian Olivia Reeves coming up in just a little bit. But first, let's score Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, and let's start with Bradford.
All right. So it was great to hear Danny Elfman's score come back to life with Beetlejuice. That hits. Like that hits right there too. So the nostalgia, and that's what we get when you think of a movie that is generations old, is people just want good nostalgia out of it. Again, doesn't have to be record breaking or monumental or anything like that. Just rub that nostalgia a little bit and people are going to be fine with it. Critics are going to be a little bit more this blah, 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 blah. Kind of like me. But overall, as long as it's a fun time, it's done its job, right? I think most
Yes.
people can agree. As long as it's a fun time for people in the theater, it's done its job. It's
Right.
accomplished its goal of being back out there again. Now, smart for them to release it in early September because it gives
Yes.
people 2 months to prepare for the Halloween costume.
Yep.
Like, there is money making decisions behind that. Instead of releasing it in Halloween time, you release it early enough for people can make their decision on the Halloween costume because you know we're going to see plenty of Beetlejuice.
Oh, and you're going to find lazy people doing the reverse mortgage,
Yes, that
was hilarious.
costumes.
That was great.
Yeah, easy.
Little things like that. So I think perfect timing for it to come out here. It was interesting, the whole play with Jeffrey Jones not being in there, half the body in there. Little good comedic takes like that.
Loved it.
For instance, Willem Dafoe's character. That's one of those ones as a side character. I was totally fine with it. He played that so well. Sir, you're an actor.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of sideshow that I expect out of this movie. The ex-wife was too much of
Right.
the sideshow and the plot. Willem Dafoe didn't bring the plot along or anything like that. He was just a side character that gave good comedic relief with his overacting performance of his character. That's why I really liked what he did here too. I'm
Yes.
glad you guys didn't agree with the overpredictable part because I felt it was a little bit there. But that means the majority of audiences probably won't feel that, and that's great for the sake of this movie. So I'll take the hit on that because I hate that I called it.
And ruined his night.
I just did a little.
I don't know about the night, but I was like, oh, there's something up with these people.
Yeah.
Ooh, is it Gina Davis? Ooh, is it Alec Baldwin?
Hey, at least you thought that, and not like, oh yeah, they're dead. I did want to punch Justin Theroux's character in the face multiple times.
And that's a compliment.
That's a compliment.
That's
He played Skeevy very, very well from the get go.
Yeah, I'm sitting there going, of course Jennifer Aniston kicked this guy to the curb. He's a jerk. I hate this guy. But he played it well.
So I do appreciate how they continue to use stop motion in this movie as well. You take it back, you get that true Tim Burton feel, and that's the thing that I think people wanted is not overly CGI'd. Go to what made this feel successful, where you're entering a different world, and it is fever dream-esque, where you're using stop motion animation. So I appreciate that as well too. It was just good to revisit the character. It was a fun time overall in the theater, and I give it a 7.
Okay.
All right.
I will jump in here and say that in the 1 week history I have with the original movie.
So nostalgic.
I became so attached to Bob in the waiting room, the shrunken head Bob.
Poor Bob.
And to find him getting so much more screen time and like basically an office full of Bobs, shrunken head guys, to me, that was so satisfying because I fell in love with him. He reminds me of like Beaker from The Muppet Show. There's just something really lovable about him. I love that even after everything is resolved, the rest of the shrunken head guys, they just roam the earth. Is
that considered a plot hole or?
To me, I hope I run into one of them because they were awesome.
Poor Bob.
Yeah. I love little tiny cameos from Danny DeVito. I really enjoyed that. Yes, it's kind of a mess. The movie does have way too many things going on. They could have trimmed back, especially either give Dolores, his ex-wife, something better later. I think maybe her whole reason for being there was that we just thought of something really cool where she staples herself back together at the beginning, which was a great scene.
It was a great scene.
But then after that, there's really no reason, right? Didn't need it.
A killing spree of 3.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she sucks people, the life out of them, kind of like those vacuum things. So when you go traveling, you can make your clothes fit into your luggage.
Or the things you pay online for.
What are you talking about?
I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know. Dark web stuff. All I'm going to say is Catherine O'Hara is a treasure. Just realize you are alive and she is still alive and she is doing phenomenal things. And people are getting to discover what she has done her whole career, which is give everything to a role. And she's not getting losing a step. She's getting better. The finale was just nuts. I thought did somebody give me a gummy before I came into this movie? But
could enhance it.
But I loved that feeling. And for that, it just made it such a fun movie that has a lot of holes and there's no reason to just go with it. I'm giving it a 7.5.
All right.
Gover.
Monica Bellucci was wasted, like we talked about. That character was unnecessary. They easily could have done just that scene where they kind of maybe establish or show how the dead are not dead. Right? Mm-hmm. She could have stapled herself together. Could have been they could have played during the credits, or they could have done that really cool thing in another way. Instead of oh well, crap! Now we got this character that we have to do something with.
Do you think they did this just to fill time? Because Beetlejuice had to tell the whole story, which was 4 minutes in Spanish.
Yeah.
Did they do that to fill some time? We have a void here in our script. We need to find something else.
Maybe. It was kind of funny how he told it.
No, totally.
That was hilarious.
Thank God they didn't do some boring talking exposition.
Which would actually lend itself to my thought that the MacArthur Park thing was too long. You could also make an argument that if the Spanish thing is too long, Monica Bellucci's introduction is too long, her story arc is too long. Now this MacArthur Park has a second verse that's not necessary. Right. Maybe they're trying to stretch the. Maybe they're oh crap, we have an hour 20-minute movie here.
We have a 1980s Disney movie.
Yeah, even Despicable Me is longer. But most of my stuff I've already said. I just wanted to say that again, Bellucci was wasted. Jenna Ortega, who we have not mentioned really this podcast yet, was tremendous, but it's not a surprise. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we didn't mention it yet. Because
we mentioned Winona Ryder, really.
Yeah, right. But it's so great to see Winona Ryder back on screen as Lydia, and Catherine O'Hara, same thing. Because so many of these types of movies, when you're kind of a cult following or it becomes a classic or whatever, you almost don't want to revisit them because you're worried about being typecast, or you're worried about, all I heard for 10 years was about this movie and I finally shook that and I don't want to revisit that. Instead, it looks like everybody's having a good time and wanted to be there.
Yeah.
So I really liked it a lot. Again, my main thing was it was disjointed. It didn't necessarily need to be. And I give it a 7.
All right. We're all kind of in the same ballpark here.
We had fun.
Yes.
It's fun, and it is. It may be a 7. You think, oh, that's not really a strong grade, but really, I recommend it. Go see it if you have any love for the first one.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, it's worth your time, and it's gonna make more than Borderlands.
Don't even bring that into the conversation, man.
It's now time on the Untitled Film Project Podcast when we ask the big question. And joining us for a special edition of the big question is Olympic gold medalist weightlifter Olivia Reeves from Chattanooga, Tennessee. She's going to be chiming in on this question. Gover, what are we talking about?
The big question, what is your go-to movie when you travel? Okay, you had a long flight, obviously, to Paris at some point. I'm sure you travel for other things and other competitions and things like that.
Riyadh,
Yeah,
all over the world.
yeah. We all travel quite a bit to a degree in our jobs, and then of course you with the Olympics. So that is the big question in this episode: is what is your go-to movie? And I will skew this by saying that if you don't have a specific movie, but you have a genre, I will allow that.
Oh, okay.
Great. Okay, great.
She's ready.
Okay.
Interstellar.
All right, Bradford, go ahead and take it.
I'm seeing Hans Zimmer later September when he's in Atlanta.
We should just go and let them.
All right.
Yeah.
I love
Hans Zimmer live is
I hope
it's
I cry.
incredible. I am the movie score geek
Here we
on
go.
this show. So is Interstellar your favorite movie score then, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like. He's also like in other things, but it's like other composers. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
like certain songs from other ones, but yeah.
And you know it's getting re-released, right?
Yes, like the movie and the
Yes.
IMAX. Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Jim has never seen it in
Not in the theater.
On the theater.
I will
saw
see
it
it
at
on the
home.
screen for the first time, a big screen, and I'm going to be a little emotional, I think, because on a TV in my house, it wrecks me.
Yes.
The score, the story, the impact that movie has.
But on IMAX when it does this on the screen.
Yeah, I'm going to be a puddle because it's just going to be overwhelming.
This is the best answer. We're done.
Bradford's finished.
Yeah,
That was an incredible answer. And-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And 3 hours will knock off part of your flight, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you spend when you travel? On a flight like that? Do you spend a lot of time watching movies, or do you do other things? Or
Yeah, usually I'll just find movies where it's like I would never watch this. I'm gonna watch it now.
might as well.
I have time
Sure.
to kill where I don't have access to anything else. I think I'll watch it now. Or
Okay.
movies I'll like half watch and be like, I never finished that. I try not to watch shows. Sometimes I watched Yellowstone actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did Yellowstone. I love Yellowstone.
Okay.
It's great. But I'm usually a movie person. I don't like to listen to the music or anything that they have on the airplane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The choice is not so great.
Bradford, why don't you go ahead and give us your answer?
My answer is
Unless it's Interstellar, of course.
Well, no. That is a great one. I
is a
usually,
great
I usually
answer.
do like to watch it at home because I love the sound. Like the sound editing for
like,
it's just incredible.
in your ears.
In your ears, I know.
Planes taking off.
So I cannot
Yes.
wait for the re-release of it and there's just so many fan theories now of all the different things of Interstellar and stuff. Like you can deep dive and go into so many rabbit holes or wormholes on Interstellar and just what people think about it, and everything could be right. Like there's so many things that are not wrong answers because it's meant to be for free thought, just like so many other movies out there like that. But anyways, my honorable mention is Coco. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I feel like crying.
Okay, yeah.
And
Okay.
Okay.
That's
I
what
travel-
Interstellar does.
All
right.
It gets you emotional just in different ways. Like it
Yeah.
reminds me of my grandmother in different ways and everything too.
right.
Granted, I'm not of Latin American descent. I'm Filipino. We're cousins. So it
You're
totally
adjacent. Yes.
yeah, it fits. But my big one, for some odd reason, I love watching Ready Player One when I fly. I have no idea
Really?
why.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just entertaining for me. I don't know why, but I just, I'll put it on.
I will say my second pick to Interstellar would be Despicable Me.
Okay.
All right.
And then
That movie.
I mean,
we were listening to the soundtrack on the way here. Yeah. Because Pharrell came up. I was like, that's an earworm right there.
yes, that movie. Yeah. it's
Were
my
you in the car with us?
That's two things you brought.
kind of scary how we're lining up. Yeah.
Jim, what's yours?
I gotta say, this is gonna make you laugh, but it's only because when traveling with my kids at a certain age, this was one that we would throw on the portable DVD player or watch it on the Disney Channel. So High School Musical is that like comfort travel movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
High School 1, 2, and 3 have it all on DVD.
Yeah, as do I. And, I saw the third one in the theatrical release. I haven't seen Interstellar, but I've seen High School Musical 3.
I will continue to stand by Zac Efron is an underrated actor.
No
He
question.
deserves so much more
question.
from his performances of late. He has way more range than people give him credit for.
All right, well, my answer pales in comparison to everybody else's.
Old Yeller?
I love no. Kingpin act.
Oh, okay.
I love a good documentary, and so I always watch Michael Jackson's Bad 25. Always. It's the 25th anniversary.
Curious choice.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It's a deep dive on all the music from the album Bad, of course, but obviously they're all like
Was not
they're all
expecting
bangers. So it's just easy to I have music in my ears, but I'm not listening to music. I'm actually watching something.
Also, Gover hates flying.
I do.
So I
That's
think
true.
that might be a reason why a documentary, because it can take him out of into a different zone.
It can, and
So-
nothing bad has happened on a plane while watching that movie. So
Yes.
therefore, it's a comfort blanket.
Hey, well, I watched Society of the Snow on a plane one time.
Oh, well, that's
And said,
a choice.
All right, I'll finish it.
Oh, okay.
You
Well,
are brave.
well,
You are- oh my.
let's have a little more fun here. Obviously, with your career already, and there's still plenty more to go in your career, you've achieved so much. But thinking now, and don't be too humble, if you were going to have an actor play you in a movie to tell your story, who would you like it to be?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not good with names at all.
Okay.
That's all right.
You can
But-
give us all the clues.
I'll give you my favorite athlete who's / influencer.
Okay.
Ilona Mar.
Oh,
Okay, tell me. I need to be educated here.
Ilona Mar is?
I don't. I would like
Jim.
to.
Oh my
Tell me.
Jim.
I'm. There's a certain part of the audience that is just plain dumb as a
Old.
rock.
Oh.
As me.
Sorry.
Wow.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
She's a rugby player.
Okay.
And is just the pinnacle of women's sports.
She's
And
incredible.
All that we aspire to be as women in sports is what she is.
Excellent.
And she's amazing. And I met her at the Olympics.
Oh, you did?
I got a picture with her.
Were you that awkward person that comes up to you in the library and was like, "Can I get a picture?" See,
Except she was like outside and it was
She's
like,
so
no big
cool.
deal.
She's just so cool, though.
Yeah, she is.
She's so cool. Like,
Good answer.
Jim, when you watch the highlights, she could go from trucking someone over, and then you see later where she's like full on glam, and it's amazing. Like she's incredible. She's a great representative, not just sports, but of people in general, and what we
Sure.
should aspire to be like as a person.
And from what you're telling me, she can't be pinned down into like a category or
No.
anything. So
she should host SNL. She has the wit.
Yes.
Her wit is so quick. She has such a great sense of humor. People are wanting her to host SNL. She's that good.
excellent.
you're welcome, Lorne Michaels.
We expect a check if you follow through on it.
I love that. I love that answer so much. She's incredible.
That's great. Olivia Reeves, gold medalist, and just all around joyous person, and really somebody who I think you've been the most fun guest we've had.
We had a few.
In Interstellar, I mean, best answer ever.
All right.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining us on the Untitled Film Project Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.